Hello. So moving our discussion from the previous video, I would like to discuss more about the built-in functionality of Python. And let's start with the numerators. So what the numerator does, it returns the specific sequence of index and the values in the tuple. So when we do iteration over list, the for loop, it will give you the element of the list, and if you want to index you can use the enumerator. So for example, so here the we are generating one sequence from 0 to 40 with a step value of 4, means it will skip 4 values, right? 0, 4, 8, 12, 16. And if you want to get the index, so what the for loop does, it will take this element out of it, and whatever operation you want to do it, it will do it on this. And if you want to know the index, means whether it is 0, 1, 2, 3 like this, you can use enumerator, which returns the index, right? So let me run this for loop. So as you can see, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 to 9. So these are all the index which are generated by the enumerator on this sequence of list 0 to 40 with the 4 skip values. The sorted, what it does, it returns the new sorted list. So what it will do, it will sort the values based on the alphabetic. So Z comes before I comes before N, likewise. Zip, very important. So what zip do, it will pair the elements. So let's say you have two sequence 1 and sequence 2, in this case foo bar bus, and the sequence 2 is 1, 2, 3, and you want to make it, you want to zip these two, means you want to assign 1 to foo, second to bar, 3 to bus. You can do using a zip method, right? Let me run this, and as you can see, it created tuples for each, and I have clubbed into the list using the list function. Now you can do more. So in this, I have created a sequence 3, false and true. What it will does, it will create a 2, means it will include the false part also into the zip, right? 4 1 false, and bar 2 true. So why there is no third, because in the sequence it is only a 2. So that's why it truncated the third value from the previous two sequences. Same thing you can do for the dictionary. So in this index, and we are creating a tuple of A and B. So like this, index 0 will have a foo 1 bar. We are using these two sequences, and 1, 2 will be in the one tuple, 2 to bar into next tuple, and 3 to bars in the third tuple with the index 2. Reverse is nothing but it will reverse this the list. In this case, if you put a reverse, instead of showing 0 to 9, it will show 0 9 to 0 in the reverse order. List, set, and dictionary comprehension. So comprehension means doing more with less code. So you can either you can write multiple lines code, or the same thing can be done using the single line code. For example, in the syntax is for loop. So it start with their for loop value in collection, go check for if any condition, and then do the expression. So in this case, uh, iterate from 0 to 100 and check whether it is divisible by 5. If yes, do the multiplication by 2, right? Like this. So 0, next is 5, right? Multiply by 2, 10. Similarly, you can make a letter uppercase if it is length is greater than 2. So in this case, bat, car, dog, python will be uppercased. Similarly, in the disk comprehension, the syntax remains the same. You have for loop for iteration, check for condition, and do a key value expression here. So in this case, we are enumerating from range 2 to 11, checking whether it is divisible by 2. If yes, the value should be multiplied by 2, or let's raise the power 2 in this case, like this. Now you can do the same thing for the key and value for the string, and for each string will be string we have a, right? And it will, what it will do, it will key, what is the key, 0 1 2 3 4 5, and the values which are there means it will get as into the dictionary format. Set, same thing, but in this case we are using the length, right? Length of the key, and let's the string. You can see it. What it will do, it will get each element of the string list, right? Get the length and stored into the set. And what does set functionality do? It will remove the duplicates. So in this case, the bat and car has three as the length, right? But here we are showing only one element because it's a set. The other way you can do is the map function. So what map function do? It will take the function and the object you want to use in the function. So the string one by one, the string values, the element of the string will go into the length function and put the output as a set. Same thing. Nested list and comprehension. So suppose there is a nested list is there. So list and what do you mean by nested list? List within the list. And you want to use the list comprehension. What you have to do, you have to use additional for condition. So this for value for all. What it will do, it will from all data list, it will get the values means first list, second list. And on the first list, the next four for loop will take each value from first means from John, right? John, Emily, Michael, Mary, Steve, and then do a count. So if it is A is available is greater than or equal to 2, it will store the list. So in this case, how many we should get? We should get 2 because Maria has 2, Natalia has 2, more than 2, right? So that's what we are getting. Now let's move to the next part of very important object in Python, the function. So what do you mean by the function? Function is nothing but let's say you have a block of code statement which you want to run again and again. In that case, it's better to club those into the function, means make a separate block of statement which you want to run again. And what is the how do you do in Python? So you use the def code to initialize, means you want to make sure this is the function and a b are the argument, means which are the input. These are the operation, means it will return a plus b. So in this case we will be giving two variables a and b some values and it will return the summation of dot. So let me run this. So 3 plus 4 should be 7. Next is the positional and the keyword argument. So keyword are we are giving the default value and positional and a and b. So in this, as you can see, I'm only giving one argument, right? 4. So what will happen? It 4 will automatically assign to A. B already has the value and it should give the value 7. Moving to the next is the namespace, scope, and local function. What do you mean by that? So local scope means in let's say if we assign any create a new variable within this function, the scope of that variable will lies within this function, means it will not go outside. So you initialize the function, the this get generated, means a will get generated, and you will see with this value only within the function. So this function does, it will take the range, means 0 to 4 values and append those into this list. So let me run this. So I got this. Now I want to assign this. I want to check whether what are the values of a. Can I do that outside? No, because a is not defined. It is only defined inside the function. That's what called local namespace. Now how we can access the a part? So if you define a outside the function, right? So let me change the name A here so we don't get confused. So A, what is doing again 0 to 4, it's appending the values into this. Can I run that? Yes, same output. Now, can I access AA outside of this function? Take a guess. Yes, because this function, this AA list is outside the scope of this function in this namespace. You can return the multiple values from the function. So in this case, ABC is got signed 1, 2, 3, and I'm returning this, right? And it will return three separate values as the tuple. So you can do that. You can return the multiple values from the function in Python. Functions are object. So what we have here the state with Alabama, Georgia, and you can see these have some kind of a mismatch in the name. There is a question mark, there is a hash symbol, there is a exclamation mark with the name. So if you want to do a cleanup, and we will do more in the coming video of the data analysis, how to handle this messy data. So you can use the RE, means the regular expression. So here what I have done, we have created a function called clean string, means clean this state data, right? We are inputting this string here, creating a new result list, right? And we are accessing each value, means Alabama 1 first, and next we are stripping any spaces, so in this case this, right? Storing the value in the value again. Next we are checking whether any unwanted escalation hashtag question mark are there, removing those, making sure the first letter, because this is the name of state, first letter is capital, and appending those into the list in this list created and returning that list. So as you can see, the after running this function, the clean state, and providing the input of the state string, uh, s- uh, state list, and this, I get the clean output of the state, which removed all the unwanted spaces, the exclamation mark, the question mark, and making the first letter of the state capital. Next, let's move to the lambda function. So anonymous, this is also called the anonymous function, which what is mean by the anonymous means you don't have to write the full definition of the function. You can just specify the lambda, means the one line function, and will do the operation. So here what we have the list, right? List one. We are putting this list and the function and returning this list. And the function which you are using lambda means just multiply by 2. So it is returning 0 to 4, and after this function return by 2. It's very useful in the data analysis part because you don't have to write a full syntax of the function if you want to do a quick operation. Let's move to the generators. So generators are very important. So what happens? So how the iteration happens in the Python, right? It is happened because of the iteration protocol we have. What do I mean by that? Let's say you want to iterate over list, right? List has 1 to 10, and you are accessing each element of the list one by one. So that happened due to the iteration protocol. And the generator, what happened? It will help us in that. Means it will access the each element one by one, right? So let me create some one dictionary where this is the key A, 1, 2, 3, B3, C3, and some dictionary. And we want to access the key, means we want to A, B, C, we want to access those. I can access using this, yeah, correct? Now what you can do, you can also use the iter method with the sum dictionary, and it will give the same output in the list A, B, C. And how the generator will help us. So it is very similar to the function, but instead of return, you use the word yield. Likewise here. So what is happening? It is returning the square. So it's a function called square. It's returning the numbers from 0 to 10 and giving values one by one. So let me run this. Square, I'm putting it to 10, and you can see I'm not getting the output here. It's a generator object square at the location of the memory. Now, if I want to access of the element of the G and G generator, I can run a for loop like this, and it will give one value one by one, 1, 4, 9, 6, 16. These are the values from 1 to 10 and squaring those. You can also use the in this case, the set comprehension, right? And access those values one by one. Iter tool module, which is again, it's one step further from the generator, means it will have the additional functionality like the group by, which take any sequence and function and return result value of that function. What we mean by that? Let's say we want to create the return the first word of the name, right? And also we want to group by, means if A should be grouped into one, W should be word which start with W should be group one, and the likewise. So if I run this, as you can see, what it does, so this is the function which returns the first letter, and in this one, what we are doing group by. Iter tool from iter tool library group by names. What is names here? Is this list? It take the list, return the first letter, and group it. Okay, like this. So also I will also like to touch base on the error and the exception handling, how this happens in the Python. Let's say I want to convert one into float. Yes, I can do that. But what happens if I give it a string as the input to the float? Will it work? No. It gave as the value error, means could not convert string to float football. Now we can handle this using the try, means what happens in this block. So try and accept. If try this work, it will return this. If this block of code does not work, it will return this. So let me run this function. So if I run this float converter to 2, means convert this 2 into float, it will give 2.0, correct? Again, if I want to convert this football, in this case I will not get the error but they return the same value, means I have given the x, it did not work, then try, then it goes to 1, return the same value what is in the x. Let me give the another value, and this time I want to capture the value error right here, 1 2. So what happens if if you want to capture the very specific error, not the all, right? If only in the value error, return this. So here we are trying to give the tuple. So the float argument must be a string or the real number, not a tuple. That's the value type error we are getting. So to full in the error handling, there are other elements also. Like try we have seen, except we have seen, else. So else will only run when the try get executed. Means let's say in this we are opening one file which we'll discuss in a minute, and if file is open, we'll write to the file and print succeed. If you're not able to open the file, then say closed. And the finally is the block which will run no matter what, means in this case we are closing the file whether we are able to open or not. So let also see the file and operating system, which is very important because we are going to work with the files. So in this case we are providing the path. So text.txt is already there in my local path working. When I say local path, it means my working directory. That's why it is only the relative path I'm giving. And the path value I'm using in the open function and coding UTF, which is very common. And now what will happen, whatever the context was there in the text txt is code stored into the f object, and now I can access the object one by one using the line, using the for loop, right? Print. So it has the lorem ipsum data one by one. As you can see, there are by default the values, some spaces are there at the end. If you want to remove those, you can use the list comprehension, means again getting the path, and encoding means getting the data, access with the value, and each line will then get the R strip, means remove the space from the right hand, and it will store it into the list. And let's close the file. So why we are closing the file? Because if the open, you have to manually do that, means you have to write the f.close to close the file. But if you are using the with, it will automatically take care, means once the file is open and the operation is complete, the with automatically is going to close the file. So open path encoding means store everything, the file data into the F binding, and then remove the R strip and the line. The same thing which we did earlier, same output. You can also write the data to the file, right? We are opening in the mode W, means write, F, write some line. So let me add some text. And if I want to read, I'm using in the mode data, read now, and I'm reading the file from this temp.txt. So that's how you access the file. That's how you write the data into the file, and that and you can read the data from the file. There are many other functions like read read lines. Readable means if it is readable, it will return true. If it is writable, it will return true or false. So we have covered all the basics of the Python in the two videos. Now we'll jump directly into the NumPy. Thank you.